Hey, welcome back to this mini lecture. This one's on Russell Brand's uncertain future. I will go into a little bit of background in terms of what's happened to Brand recently and how that might play out based on sort of some broader situations. The whole purpose of this video is to predict possible future outcomes for Brand. Who really knows what's going to happen exactly. What I'm going to specifically address are what are past examples of public canceling and punishments for similar incidents and similar types of people, high profile people like Brand. How could other cases predict Brand's future, and what are some complicating factors that could make any of these ideas kind of blow up? In terms of something I just wanted to note, please make your final judgments on any of this for yourself. I am trying not. I just want to try to give some ideas about how I think the future will come based on my background in mass media, etc. For those of you who don't know, you're probably not watching this video unless you do know, so I'll go over this quickly. He's a British comedian, TV and radio personality, actor, and YouTuber, as well as wellness guru. He's had some legal and reputational issues dealing with some sexual issues just recently. I'm going to give some past examples of canceling, some high profile ones, and if you're into pop culture and specifically in a comedy, you probably already know of these. One is the great comedian Louis C.K., who's well, at the pinnacle of, or at least was, and kind of still is at the pinnacle of stand-up comedy. He faces some similar types of allegations. They're not exactly similar, but like they're sexual in nature. He admitted to several incidents of sexual misconduct after a New York Times article was released around 2017. The fallout from it was right around the same time. It was actually really, really close in terms of its timing. He had a film called I Love You, Daddy, which was pulled from distribution, and he kind of faced a broader sort of systemic cultural cancellation. And then there's another case of Aziz Ansari. This happened around January 2018. The allegations are of sexual misconduct during a date. A person's account was published on babe.net, which is a website. And the fallout was he receded from the public, at least for a short period of time, and he was, again, somewhat canceled, more popularly. What do these past cases predict about Brand's future? I'm going to divide this part into informal and formal cancellation. In terms of informal cancellation, I'm talking more about on new media, like social media, and more specifically on various platforms. I'll sort of predict that as being at least 1 week in terms of like from the dawn of the incident. Apparently, as on a video that he posted on Rumble, and I think it was also on YouTube, Brand said that he was planning on publishing new content really soon. I think on a Monday, and as of recording this, that would be tomorrow. So he's going to be more active on social media as of this Monday. And then in terms of formal cancellation, I'm talking more about legacy media. I would predict at least 6 months to a year, and I'll go into some of the complicating factors. It could be much more depending on how some of the accusations fall out. Also, he's been deeply, people are calling it deplatforming. I don't know exactly if that's the 100% the correct term, but on YouTube he still can put videos up, but can't be monetized for now. He can still put things up on Rumble. I would say for at least a couple of months until this sort of intense pressure dies down, if not longer, depending on, again, some complicating factors that I will get into. In terms of his re-emergence and resuscitation, in terms of his brand's brand, if you will, I'm sure he will eventually, or at least initially, go on friendly podcasts. I'd sort of at least initially think of Tucker Carlson, possibly some people on the Daily Wire, such as Ben Shapiro or Ben Peterson, who have been somewhat, they say that they're like friends of his. So I would imagine those would be the initial ones. After that, we'll see how the reception is as to where that goes from there. And he's a comedian, as I said before. And in terms of performance, I think he's probably going to take the Louis C.K. model and do some independent stand-up specials that will be, like he'll have whatever his new management group is, or however that's done, probably negotiate for some different venues and then go that way. And I think there'll be both live shows and then probably more taped and distributed via social media, some content that I think that will be one of his way forwards. In terms of his content, on a similar note, I could see him definitely going on a sort of a self-publishing route where he has more like personal monetized blog content where it would be exclusive content. I could also see him just directionally moving away. He's been doing a bit of wellness content. I could see him at least subtly, if not more overtly, shifting away. I could see him moving much more towards his anti-establishment, anti-institutional, counter-narrative, counter-mainstream narrative direction. And I could definitely, given how he feels he's been treated by the mainstream media, definitely going in that direction where he's very, very critical of mainstream media. What are some of the complicating factors I keep talking about? I think one of the major ones will be any future revelations. That will be the number of future allegations. I think there's been a couple of them so far to date. There's been at least one, if not more. The timing of them, like if there's a number of them right away, I think that could be really deleterious. But then I also wonder about if there's a slow leak where every couple of months something comes out. We'll only know when these things do come out, if they do come out at all. As well, there's people making allegations. If they're higher profile, that would probably leave more of a negative indentation on his reputation. Is that fair? Probably not, but that's just the way mass media, pop culture works. And then ultimately, these legal allegations may not be lead to any kind of court appearances, et cetera, et cetera. And if that goes away, obviously that will sort of make his entry back into the mainstream easier. If something happens that's more formal, that will obviously delay things. The platforms who have hosted him, their positions may change over time. For example, YouTube may decide to eventually monetize him again. He may get book publishers again in the future. Who knows about that? I think that could be a little bit more, especially something more formal like a book publishing deal could be a bit more problematic. Although I'm sure he will at least potentially explore self-publishing and again having some kind of more exclusive content that he can sell through his site. And obviously he can go on Rumble right now and monetize however he can that way. And then my concluding thoughts, he does obviously, I think, based on what's happened, face, I think we'd all say, an uncertain future. There are many diverse, complicating factors that make firm predictions really difficult. Like some of the things they say, I think, are trends that will probably somehow fall out, but how they exactly fall out is, depending on how they all kind of mix and mingle, what his behavior is, how the public reacts, et cetera, et cetera. I would really suggest you look at what happened to previous playbooks and new forms, especially Louis C.K., how he's kind of pulled back more from the mainstream, gone even more independent than he did before, done more self-releasing of content on his own terms, and Aziz Ansari doing a little bit of that as well, although you can find some of his content in various places as well. That was Russell Brand's Uncertain Future. Please feel free to comment. What do you think Russell Brand's future will be? Will it be bright? Will it be a little bit less bright? Will he be more and more independent and more alternative and via platforms like Rumble? Do you think eventually he'll go back to more of the mainstream places like YouTube, or even more traditional legacy media like television, radio, etc.? And if you like it, please feel free to like this video. Please feel free to subscribe if you want to see similar types of content. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye.